Oh.
I have to move? Really?
No, I don't think so.
Do I have to move?
Okay.
Was it just because you were coming in?
She just wanted to make you uncomfortable
Yeah.
for a minute or two.
Well, I don't, there's nobody sitting here, but whoever was sitting here didn't put their book away.
Or there's two books in there.
So. Oh, I thought it was, okay.
That's my pal Kathy.
I'm gonna wave. That way I'll know where to start the recording. I never know when to start. Go ahead and get started. We may be joined. I thought before we sort of jump into the book, other than the fact that she says that on the cover, it's help, thanks, wow, the three essential prayers, that I would sort of contextualize it real briefly with what we often think of as are the essential prayers, the themes of the essential prayers. And so classically, these are the 5 types of prayer. Adoration, blessing, contrition or repentance, thanksgiving, supplication and petition, and intercession. Those are the 5 sort of classic ways of thinking about prayer. Well, you know, what do you know? So contrition and repentance are help for yourself. Supplication and petition are help for yourself, and intercession is help for somebody else or some other situation. And then, of course, thanksgiving is thanks, duh. And adoration is wow. So her classification just boils down 3 of them to 1, the help thing. And then I thought, too, about looking at, because we talked about this, I don't know what, last spring, about the Psalms, and what are the types of Psalms. And there we go, we've got prayers for help, laments, complaints, protests, there are Psalms of thanksgiving, and Psalms of praise. And then there are a bunch of other ones too, but those are the three top ones, or the 3 most frequent characters of Psalms, or help, thanks, and wow. So she stands in a long, long line of people thinking about all of this, and so I just thought we'd start with that. I think a good one. Oh, and then as I was poking around, this is a chart that you can't read very well, but it's a chart of references to prayer in the New Testament. And all of the different words for prayer, those are all the different Greek words down the left-hand side. And then the translation into English. So all of the different references to prayer in the Gospels and in the epistles. And so if you look, the second line down, proseuche, prayer or request is probably, we don't know, but 36 instances of that. You can look down, but you see about 30 of the way down, doxazo, or to give praise, to give glory, 61 of those. So there's 61 prayers of awe, or suggestions to have prayers of awe. Bow down and worship down towards the bottom, 60 of those. That's probably more along, in the context would be more along help. But there are, so all of those are there, and you can see how they sort of, anyway, I saw that chart, and I thought, well, that's kind of fun.
That's kind of neat.
I think that's the kind of thing I would do.
Only you would complicate. She makes it 3 words and you.
I know, that's right. So now we're done with that. We'll go into it. Now, I've provided some prompts, and we don't have to look at these. I'd be interested in knowing what you thought. The first 4 are really general, and we might start there. And then I had some ones where the rest of these were just questions that I came up with from my reading. But I'm more than happy to bracket any or all of those to go with what you thought about this chapter. And I am assuming that you read the introductory the little introductory piece as well as the first chapter. So, I'll just start with this first one, is you haven't read the whole book, or maybe you have, and you're coming back to it a second time, or third time or something. But have you, in the reading that you've done, Wayne, is this helpful? Was this a helpful way of looking at prayer in terms of these three categories? Certainly that would be a question we could return to at the end. But is there anything in there that changed, anything in this early part that changed kind of how you thought of prayer? Going on, what do you think it is and what's its purpose? What does Lamont suggest it is? Anyway, jump in. Anywhere you want to start. Kathy?
I thought it was a good reminder that prayers can be answered not the way you're hoping or expecting, and you have to pay attention to what maybe eventual outcomes are, not immediate gratification. Be careful what you ask for, and keep your eyes open for the response.
Oh God, won't you buy me Mercedes-Benz? No.
Seriously.
Well, she talks a lot about her cat, and it made me start thinking about my animals, so, relationships you have with animals. And, if you've been around animals long enough, you know when it's time to put them down. And yet it's one of the hardest things to do in the world. And I know when we put down our last one, I held her, and tears were just running down my cheeks, and the lady came in and said, "I think I'll give you a little more time." But,
Yeah.
Well, dog spelled backwards is God, so come on.
Yeah, I had a little trouble with that bad 10 minutes that her cat had.
yeah.
And she, reflected on the good 13 years and the fact that she was out of pain at the end of it, but there was still that bad 10 minutes, and I had a hard time getting past that.
In what way?
Well, it was painful.
Okay, all right, just sort of
There was-
experience vicariously the pain.
Yeah, there was suffering, there was, it wasn't the quiet, peaceful passing that we all hope for ourselves and our loved ones. It was hard.
Yeah.
It's hard anyway, but when it's painful as well as hard, it's, I had a little trouble reconciling that.
So we tend to be more humane to our animals than to our people.
True.
We do?
10 minutes of a cat's pain, and then you look at
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
people suffering. I'm just auditing, I didn't read the book.
It's right there. They're real quick. Real short book.
Well, one of the things we really talk about in the men's group is, our men's group, when people ask us, what is the men's group, what do you do? And ours is based on prayer, study, and service. A good part of what we do is prayer. And I think that's important to the guys in the men's group.
I think it's, I haven't read the book either, true confession.
That's a helpful prayer.
I think it's, it's like even when we read the Brotherhood of St. Andrew and the excerpts from it, and when you even peruse through the Book of Common Prayer, there's certain areas when you come across it, and you just read, it doesn't take a lot of reading, and there's just certain sections that just wow. I mean,
Great.
how did I miss that? Or we could talk about that section alone in a meeting, right? And one of these days, I think we're going to do that within the men's group, because there's, within that book of St. Andrew, there's just plenty of there to pick from. And I think if we just pause and reflect on some of the sections that we read, to me, it's pretty powerful.
So, what in that, can you think of a specific example? I mean, what in that is powerful and in what way? What does it do
Yeah.
to you?
It's, some areas that I've read, there's action, call out to do work, right? And, and others are just the depth of the sentence or the phrase or the reading, and internally enriching from peace, reflection, God's work, that we just read through it, you know, so many times, I think.
Yeah, I got a note this week, we did the men's group, from John Mumford, and he had a family member who was very sick, and they thought she would pass away in 2 months, and he said, I just thank you for all your prayers for her, because she lived 6 months, and she was comfortable in those 6 months, and that's 3 times as long as they said she was gonna live, and he said, I really believe your prayers is what helped that to happen. I think that's an example of, you know, what we do to, we don't see, sometimes we never see the results of prayers, but sometimes we do, and when we do, it's pretty astounding.
Well, I don't know how many people here, not many, will remember Martin Owens, but prayer bought him 10 years. And he was a men's group, they prayed upon him. And it was just amazing, because he was looking at, what, 60 days?
Yeah.
Something like that? Wow.
They know much.
And the beauty of that story is he actually went on a lot of Faith Alive weekends, and that was his witness, and it touched a lot of people. Always remembered 5 years later, Dennis Applebaum and I were at breakfast, and he said, you know, that morning when we prayed for Martin, I don't know what happened, but I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, she points out, I just saw this at, on page 14. She states that rock bottom means hope. Hitting rock bottom means hope. And I'm seeing heads going up and down. I'm not seeing any going back and forth, but you may not want to do that. But the question is, do you agree or not agree? I mean, I think that's one of those things that 12-step programs sort of, I don't want to say prey upon, but pardon that kind of pun. But, it is one of those things that in many 12-step programs, it's when somebody hits rock bottom, that they go seek out that program that then helps them move out, or any other, it doesn't have to be a 12-step, there could be other programs, but.
You know,
When you hit rock bottom, you have to go elsewhere for help, because you used up everything you had, and it didn't work.
although I will say, when you hit rock bottom, sometimes you say, okay, I'm gonna dig my way out of this. And, it's only, generally, for me, it's been, when I reflect back on it, I see where God was, and I didn't see it at the time. And that's been my experience.
What else? Take a look at the questions, whether you read it or not, what are you thinking these days?
What? You mean my brain cell? I haven't read enough really to have any thought.
Okay,
I just,
that's fine.
Oh, your sermon.
Yeah, well, sometimes, getting back to my first comment, is that, sometimes you do get kind of a concrete response, like extra time and quality time. I had a friend she's a second-generation missionary family. When she was pregnant with her first child, the scans showed all kinds of twisted, complicated things in the baby's heart. And by the time the baby was born, he was perfectly normal, is now married and, you know, leading a full life. That's kind of a, what I call a one-to-one. You pray for a miracle and you pray for that miracle of healing and life. Sometimes, she pointed out, what you pray for is for the people who are going through it, and that's not just the individual, but everyone around them, to just have the strength to persist, to carry on as best they can, to find grace where they can, and maybe that's all you get, and maybe that's enough.
So she wrote, page 22, she talks about a friend of hers with cancer and her prayer for the friend. And she says something like that. She says that prayer and her friendship is all that she has to offer the friend. So that's kind of, I would say, similar to what you're saying.
I think that God always heals. I don't think God always cures.
Say that again.
I think God always heals. I don't think God always cures.
Ah.
So in the process of dying, suffering, whatever's going on, there can be healing with the person, the family, with the system. You know, if we're not so focused on the cure that we miss it.
This reminds me of when we went through, does it say Stevens? I lost it. Yeah, Stephen's ministry, thank you. But that's what we offer when we go to somebody to listen. And there were testimonies that said, you know, people would be sitting there in the living room, dining room, wherever, and not say a word. But the person it helped thought that they did a miracle just by being there, you know, comforting or whatever it is that's needed.
Yeah, I think I called one of our parishioners this week, and I think you don't realize that just the call, that's the help the person needs. Somebody cares about me. And I think that's how this works.
There's a book I read, a long time ago. I may have referred to it sometime in the last 7 years. And now I can't remember the title, but the author's name was Pennebaker, which is an easy name to remember because it's somewhat unusual. Anyway, he's a psychologist down at UT Austin or someplace down there, but it was all about what happens to an individual when they are able to express whatever it is that they're holding in. And so he was doing a lot of research with like people who are confessing to crimes and things like that, and doing galvanic skin response stuff. And as soon as they did that, all of a sudden the markers all went way down. He did research with college students journaling and what would happen when they would actually journal the truth and all that kind of stuff, and how that, you know. And so I think what we do, you know, in those kinds of circumstances where you're just sitting and giving permission to somebody to say, this is awful, or something like that, you know, you're not doing anything other than giving them permission to get off of their hearts what's there. And that becomes its own healing moment.
We're such a performative society that we're just constantly, it's almost like I feel like oftentimes feel the pressure that we have to be performative, whether we're suffering and somebody else is there. It's like, you're here to be with me or whatever, so I need to come, you know, I need to come up with something, or I need to express myself. And it doesn't, what I said.
Oh, the book's name was called Opening Up. That's what it was.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good book, even though now it's 30 years old.
Do you have it in your library?
No. I checked it out of a library when I was in Charlotte. It tells you how long ago it was. One of the things, again, go ahead and take a look through all of these, but there's because I lived in California, I know in the area where Anne Lamott lives, she lives in Marin County, north of San Francisco. She says that her friend Jack pictures God as Mount Tamalpais, which is this tall mountain in Marin County. It's kind of and the Miwok people considered that sort of the mother goddess, and so that was their god was there with Mount Tamalpais. And so her friend Jack pictured, who was an atheist, pictured God as Mount Tamalpais, and then another friend pictured God as a low-seated easy chair with long arms. and so I was wondering, how do you picture God?
Not as a body at all.
Pardon?
Not as a body at all,
Okay, not
as a physical thing at all. So my picture of him is more of a feeling.
I once had a vision, I guess. I don't know, vision, but anyway, I got this picture. And it was, you know, I really wished I could draw it, except I can't draw. And I'm not sure it's capturable, but the gist of it is an enormously pregnant woman with full breasts, long hair, a red woman for some, I don't know why she was red. Anyway, she was red. In her pregnant belly was the world. And somehow that was not the image, but an image of God for me.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was the other.
And how long ago was it?
Oh, geez, I don't know. 10, 15 years ago.
For me, God is my best friend. God is the brother I never had, sitting right here on my shoulder. And, you know, when I do things, I remember that there's somebody sitting there. And it's okay if I can't figure out the answer, maybe he can, and I'll do the right thing.
Do any of you know, I'll get to the point here really quickly, but the Jungian sort of philosophy for dream interpretation? So let's say I have a dream and Nadine shows up in the dream. It's not Nadine.
Right.
It's whatever I associate with Nadine
Right.
that appears in the dream. And so, you know, so whether it's a dog or it's whatever I associate, it's not my cat. The cat, so, you know, it's whatever. And so that's one of the things I think about when I think about what God is what God reminds me of through all of these interactions that I have, whether they're conscious or subconscious. And then the flip side of that is Alan Watts, some of you may remember Alan Watts, this author from the 70s who was sort of Anglican, Buddhist, whatever, all at the same time. He wrote a book in which, and I don't remember the name of the book, I wish I could because I'd love to find it and read it again, see if I'm remembering it correctly, but his premise was that we are all players in God's dream. That God is dreaming the world and we are players in the dream. Yeah, it might be, but we have nightmares, you know. And my question I remember at the end of the book was, what happens when God wakes up?
Yeah.
That might be the second coming, you know?
What's that?
That might be the second coming.
Yeah, there we go, that's right. What about the rest of you? How do you picture God? Easy chair with long arms.
I don't see God.
I think he's just, I don't want to say vapor, space, air. He's just all encompassing. There's no form, it's just there. Yeah, I did a picture, it kind of comes from Sunday school, when you got the throne and
Zeus.
yeah, right, well, even in Sunday school, Jesus standing on the throne and, you know, the three thrones with God in the middle and somehow there's some sort of images there. And
That always seemed very, it was very tangible, perhaps for children who need something tangible, but not, it just never really seemed in any way appropriate. Because he don't seem to have a body of any sort, of anything physical. He's
So picking up on that, and then just what Beth just said, if God is an all-encompassing vapor, that, just shorthand for what you said, that's a very different picture than a corporeal being of great power sitting on a throne. And so I want to go back to the title of this particular discussion of help. When somebody says help to a vapor, what does that imply that the help might be, as opposed to help to some corporeal, powerful figure on a throne who can throw a lightning bolt and zap the enemy? Do those concepts of God have an impact on how we perceive that question of help, or that demand or cry for help?
So I grew up with asthma, and a real prayer that I didn't even know I was praying was help when I couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And that vapor breathed in me
Mm-hmm.
and kept me alive. So that's power. That's more power than lightning bolt. And I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know, I grew up in Vancouver, or part of my life, where they have amazing fogs, which are wonderful unless you're drunk. But to me, that's a great picture. If you've ever been in a really deep fog, you probably have.
Yeah.
You are surrounded. Now, if that's the vapor that is God, I mean, vapor, you know.
Yeah, right.
If you can use that as a symbol, it is in some ways impenetrable. In other ways, you're in the middle of it.
You're all
And
encompassing.
you can't get away from it. It can't, it's there to protect you. I took some Girl Scouts, well, Girl Guides, but anyway, Girl Scouts camping one October, and we had the best flashlight tank in the world in the middle of this huge fog drop. But it was so palpable. And if that's an image, vapor, whatever, that might be an image to help realize this isn't just this little airy-fairy stuff that hasn't got any power. It's tangible.
I think about, this isn't an Oregon fog, this is a California fog.
The Grand Tule,
The Tule fog.
the Grand Tule.
Yeah,
If you live
and the
through
problem
one
with
of
that is
those,
it surrounds you, and there are multiple car pileups and many deaths when the Tule fog hits.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that it's not a great image, I'm just saying I've got to factor all the rest of these things
You gotta be in the same
into that
place.
image of fog.
I did preface it, not for driving.
Yeah,
But-
when the school superintendent couldn't see his back fence, school was canceled.
Oh, is that true?
That was in Bakersfield, yes, yes,
Yeah, the Tule fog is awful.
it is,
But it's powerful.
it is.
And so that, to me, it was like the counteracting the idea of, well, a vapor as God is not powerful. Yeah, it's a different kind of power. It's an enveloping power.
I feel that way because it's more all-encompassing, whereas that guy up there on the throne, maybe I can't get a connection with him. I want this guy, or gal.
You talk about the Grand Tule fog.
Tule.
I always remember driving home from Meeteetse, Wyoming, back to Powell, and it was snowing so hard I could not see the road. And I always wondered what those markers on the side were for, and I learned real fast. The only thing I could see were those markers to stay on the road. it's the same thing. It's like, you go, wow.
And then help.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So what are we really praying, what are we really asking when we're asking for help? That's a question that she raises.
To me, it's putting it in God's hands versus, we're praying for maybe intervention, but we're praying for, God, you know what to do and I don't.
We're looking for understanding, sanity. You're in a situation that you just can't resolve, and you need to just get it expressed, then step back, and maybe step into it again to try to solve it.
I think there are a lot of people though who expect something, that prayer is magic. And, okay, help, waiting.
My Sicilian grandmother had no education, but she had the Benedictine teachings of praying in the morning, asking God for a good day, and then thanking Him in the evening. That was her belief. She would carry it with her. And during the Depression, there was just no food, there was no jobs. My father was working for the Civilian Conservation Corps for $1 a day. So the only money they had to live on was $30. 10 kids and 2 adults. So what she had to try to hold together. And one spring, they had a late frost and there was no fruit to can, which they lived off in the winter. And she was running out of food. And she finally just cried out to God one night and said, my children are starving. You have to tell me. I need to feed them. 3 days later, her son Frank shows up and gives her $5. $5 in 1930 was about $172 today. Here's an 8th grade kid gives her $5 to feed that she had called for 4 days earlier. And they lived through the winter on his weekly, he'd give her $5. Talk to God and He listened.
And that was her, what was he to her?
He was her 8th grade son. She had 10 kids. My dad says, Frank always had money. He knew how to make money. He was 4 years younger than me. And whenever I would go on a date, I said, if you got $1, and Frank could give me the $1.
Wow.
He's in 8th grade and I'm a senior and I'm asking my brother for money. He always had money. He fed the family.
I'm sorry.
But she talked to God and God took care of her.
It really, I don't know, it really irks me when people, when something good happens in response to prayer, and people say, God is good. And it's like, where's that when, shit happens?
Yeah.
God isn't good because you got your Santa Claus wish. So I don't know what we do with that, but that bugs me.
Spend much time in black churches and you'll hear one half the church say, God is good, the other half the church says, all the time.
Yeah.
It's a call and response.
Yeah.
You walk in, you get that everywhere. So there are folk who get it. They get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We've prayed for a lot of men over the years in the men's group and lost a lot of good men. I just always remember the case with John Caples. John was sick and not doing well, and then we went up one day and it was like almost complete recovery. And he was talking about, here's what I'm going to do in the future and so forth. And I think, we all, 2 or 3 of us that were there, just walked away, just wow, And a day later, he was dead. And I mean, and then you're dealing with, somebody that has died, and then you're dealing with the spouse that has left, and it can be that's when you need help.
So she states towards the end of the chapter. She says, when we think we can do it all ourselves, fix, save, buy, or date a nice solution, I like that. It's hopeless, we're gonna screw things up. I mean, and she points, I think, over and over again, that, the thing about help means that you are actually confessing that you are not God. I love that. What's the difference between God and you? God never thinks it's you. And I think that help is that confession of
There is a God and it's not me.
that's right, yeah. Or she sort of concludes, she says, praying help means that we ask the something, capital S, that we ask the something give us the courage to stop in our tracks, right where we are, and turn our fixation away from the Gordian knot of our problems. So that we lose perspective, I think is one of the things that she sort of gets at with the help.
One of the funny cases happened to me. I did a lot of Faith Alive weekends, and I was doing one in Houston. And we broke into groups, and each of us asked what we wanted, and at that time I was the head of the calling committee for the previous rector to you. And I said, I just need prayer and help because I've got a committee that's equally divided over 2 people. And I know we're stuck and we don't know what we're going to do. And I just want to offer, God, give me some direction on this because I'm supposed to be the leader and, be able to figure this out. And it was on a Saturday. I was praying that. On Sunday I get home and one of the parishioners here calls me and says, one of the 2 candidates has been told by his wife that he's not moving west of the Mississippi.
There be dragons.
Suddenly I had my solution. Of course, then you're worried about, well, was that the solution you wanted? Yeah. But I mean, it was interesting.
So we'll just stay for a little bit longer, but I thought that one of the sort of the most fun pieces of this chapter was her concept of the God box. Now, if you haven't didn't get that far, or if you haven't read the book yet, go and read that chapter and you'll see. But she has this concept of a God box, and she said it can be anything. It can be a pill bottle, it can be the glove compartment of the car, it can be some other physical receptacle. And she talks about hitting some thorny issue that she cannot resolve. So she will write it down and physically put it in the God box and say, now it's yours. And she says, this isn't something that you can do just sort of conceptually. You need to write it down and see where you are putting it and know that it's there and that it's out of your control.
She uses,
What's that? Nadine?
I was just gonna, she uses several things here. I'm trying to remember, was she in recovery? Because she she uses a lot of things that, tools that are used for recovery and God boxes.
Oh, that I didn't know. That's interesting.
I don't have a God box, I have a God can. God can and I can't.
Well, it's a receptacle, yeah.
So does she let it go? I mean, does she really let it go then? I mean, you think?
Or go back and at some point and.
You open it up, pull it back out.
And pull it back out, yeah. I mean, but it's
And it
not,
could be gone, could be history, whatever happens, right?
it's kind of fun to just.
See
Go
what
back
what
a year
happened,
later and
yes,
see
yeah.
what you were totally stressing over that
Yeah.
somehow got resolved.
So I'll just read a paragraph about this. She says, on a note, I write down the name of the person about whom I am so distressed or angry, or describe the situation that's killing me, with which I am so toxically, crazily obsessed. I fold the note up, stick it in the box, and close it. You might have a brief moment of prayer, and it might come out sounding something like this. Here, you think you're so big? Fine, you deal with it. Although I have a few more excellent ideas on how best to proceed. That was her. Then I agree to keep my sticky mitts off the spaceship till I hear back. So that's her idea about that. She says the container has to exist in time and space, so you can physically put a note into it, so you can see yourself let go in time and in space.
In the 12 steps, sorry to deviate from that, did they ever go back to the box? They do,
Well, I want to.
when they want to.
Any other thoughts about help? And like I say, not all, like you've confessed, not all of you have made it all the way through the chapter or have read it. But was it helpful?
Well, it makes you stop and think. I think there's a lot of things in there, different ideas, and it does make you stop and think about those ideas and whether some of them are something that you would like to use or not.
I'm gonna brag about the Salvation Army, because when I started working with them, I knew nothing about it. But that's all they're there for, help. The Women's Auxiliary, we had this craft sale, and it was Friday and Saturday, and we have 2 major houses, I'm gonna call it. One's called Harbor Lights, that one's for men in recovery. The other one's called Cottonwood, and that's for women in recovery. And they showed up yesterday and helped us clean up and pack. That's all they're for, is to help. And so, yeah, Thanksgiving, which is skipping to another chapter, but they're there for help. Because we're helping them and they're helping us.
And
Don't you,
I was just gonna say, that's just like we have Covenant Covered, we have St. Clair's, we have St. Francis Center, and they're there to help.
And we pray for those help. The workers and the receivers.
I think what's kind of cool about what you said is that it makes it, to you, that entity makes it for you, right?
Right. Well, I realize the history of Salvation Army started at the docks in England, and that's what they were doing. They're helping men come out of the alcohol and recover.
Right.
That's the foundation. And this is a little fun fact that you all need to know. The Salvation Army's there before Red Cross shows up,
Yeah, always,
always.
always. You get better food too.
Could that be the reason? No, I'm just kidding.
Service work is a pillar of,
There, yeah.
I mean, it's for as far as recovery goes, it's gets you out of your own stuff.
And we,
Focus
you know,
on
we
others.
appreciate them so much. We reinforce what they're doing for us because we are so appreciative of their just existence. They're there, working, trying to get help.
And I think that's the reasons a few of us really support St. Francis Center, because they're there trying to do things. You know, I don't know how to help the homeless very well, but I know I can support St. Francis, and that is part of their work, is to help the homeless.
Gosh, well, she quoted this Bengali poet, whose name I will not try to pronounce, saying, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service is joy."
Where is that?
That's on page 28, 29,
That's cool.
23, sorry, no glasses.
It's a good summary of the talk.
It
Oh,
is.
Rabindranath Tagore.
Well,
I have a marker right in that page for some reason.
St. Andrew's Brotherhood and the Daughters of the King, their first 2 is prayer and service. The other one is study, but prayer and service.
And the rewards go both ways.
Absolutely.
You're not
I
sure.
have another book app on here, and it doesn't show page numbers.
Ooh.
So I'm trying to
It's
find
at
out.
the part where she's talking about her friend Angie with cancer.
I
It's in
haven't
that
read.
section. So, when you get there.
Okay, there it is. Oh, there it is, okay. No, I mean, I found it.
You found the page number?
It's way down at the bottom, but you have, anyway.
Yeah.
You buy it, read it.
Well, next
Wasn't
time
there,
we'll
it was,
deal with thanks. And if you don't have a copy of the book, take one.
finished with it.
And come on back, thank you for this discussion. Draw.
Like pulling teeth, wasn't it?
No, go out and be helpful, or ask for help.
Thanks for the book.
Yep.
Well,
You can't
I can
have,
always,
No, I
I can
know.
always get another one.
I was
Go, you
tempted.
take it.
No.
You take
We
it.
have, no, because I like chocolate chips, and they ruin chocolate chip cookies with raisins.
That's why I left you.